Hi, this is Suning. So the reason why I want to shoot this video is because today is my 360 days in America. Continuously, I never left the state and go back to China or go to another country. So I just basically stayed in the state for the whole winter break and nearly the whole summer break because now is August and yeah. So I had a lot of new experiences and new thoughts coming to the States. When people ask me, when my friends ask me, "Oh, Suni, how do you feel about sitting in the state? Or do you feel welcomed?" I always reply, "Yeah, I love it here. It's good, but I feel like I had a lot of struggles and things that I want to share. Besides the reply of okay, I'm good." So yeah, I want to touch upon 4 points. First coming to America, then suffered to identity crisis and language barriers to a certain extent, and then third I want to talk about the two world thing, like Western Occidental ones and or Oriental ones, like the conflicts of my thoughts in my head. And last, I want to talk about inclusivity and diversity, like how I understand it, based on my previous experiences in China and also experience by trying to be inclusive in American scenario, like how to interpret these words. So a little bit about my background. So I am Chinese. I am not like a immigrant that moved to America from a very young age. I was born and raised in China. I never left China to a foreign country. I just maybe the ones I went to Singapore and Indonesia for traveling and short-term study, and that's it. So I've never been to like a actual Occidental country, and I just learned English. Learned English in China for 18 years. So this is my experience. I grew up in a city called Shenyang, which is located in Liaoning province, China. It's in the northeast. It's not like very international city. I seldomly meet foreigners on the streets or like in a restaurant or something. It's not like Beijing or Shanghai where like a lot of Americans know where it is. We've been there before COVID. So growing up in this kind of city where education resources for studying abroad is not as ideal as Shanghai or other metropolitan cities in China. So I had I attended a foreign language school called Yucai Foreign Language School, but foreign language refers to either French or Japanese, and actually most people study Japanese. So it's not like a foreign language towards English. So I originally planned to study in Japan, as most of my peers did. I studied really carefully in Japanese, but I felt like I wasn't attracted to Japanese culture as much as my peers. I love kimonos. I love sushis. I love the clean streets and courtesy. I love these things, but I'm not into like films, animes, and also the history of Japan. So I feel like, yeah, just I was interested. I was interested in Harry Potter. I was very, very interested in like Twilight. Um, uh, like Baltimore's I don't know, like Edward Cullen in these two um, very famous, very popular movies. And I thought, yeah, I was more interested in investing culture, and I also want to challenge myself. So I just feel more than determined to study in the state or at other foreign countries, other Western countries. And I finally persuaded my parents, and parents supported me both financially and emotionally. But I was lucky. I was very lucky. But I also worked very hard. I took 12 APs when I was in high school, consecutively in 3 years, and I took like 6 TOEFL tests. Like TOEFL test is like a proficient and test for proficiency in English, and I almost got like a full score on it. I took SAT. I took four times, got 1500 plus. I tried very hard to get to a university in America, and I finally ended up in Hamilton College, which is in upstate New York, in a really like a rural place with great sceneries and great people. So yeah, I was confident in my English speaking, and also I don't know, like about myself before coming to the state. But I was so innocent, because like I finally realized that learning a language is not as difficult as a lot of people might think. But learning a culture behind the language, like learning about people that speak the language as a native language, is much more difficult than I thought. Yeah, American is like immigration-based society. It is diverse in a lot of sense, but it is not diverse in a lot of sense either. So it was like a really complex feeling when I got off the plane in New York City with 3 luggages, and just went to a friend's home in Connecticut, like all by myself, and I was just like, I don't know, facing 12 hours jet lag and coming to this new country on the back of my home country was like so stunning, so new to me, so refreshing. Coming from the people with like a single dominant race to a more like ethnically speaking diverse country was very interesting. I remembered I first stopped in the subway on the car to on a river to from New York City to Connecticut, and I went in, and there are people of like different ages, different like hairstyles, and different weights. and nobody just like judged them or anything like that. And also the disability services here did much more better when I was in Shenyang than Shenyang in general. So I was quite astonished to see, okay, like you don't have to be like slim or like putting makeup on for women every day to be like respected, to be accepted in this society. It was a good thing. And I first came to Hamilton College. I was just so curious, like why most academic buildings only have like 3 floors. Because in my city, like I went to like Peking, I went to Tsinghua, like these top notch universities in China, and they have like, I don't know, like 10 20 floors in one building. It was just so common, and I was just so astonished, like why this place is like, these buildings are so low and has so many like natural sceneries, and it's just so weird to me. But what is the most like challenging part was the orientation. So there are 3 orientation groups in Hamilton College that are prepared for like welcoming first year students on campus. So it's OA, AA, and XA. So AA is the most adventurous ones. AAs are the most adventurous ones. For example, you'll have a chance to go hiking, canoeing, kayaking, backpacking, blah blah blah. And I chose this category because I feel like I was an active person at high school compared to my peers. For example, I run for 3 miles, like 5 kilometers every day. During coronavirus in grade 11. Although it was boring, but I just insisted on it, and I thought, yeah, I have a kind of like a resilience in sports, so I just give myself a shot. But things are not as simple that I imagined. First, there are like 13, 14 students, and other than me, they were all Americans. They all grew up in America. And mostly in New England. Most of them are athletes, and they talk about topics like sports, lacrosse, squash, ice hockey, football, volleyball, blah blah blah. And I just feel like, yeah, these people are nice. These people are really nice. These people are really friendly to me. But no matter how I tried, I just can't blend in. I just can't speak. I just can't express my opinions. Nobody asked me like my experiences in China. I originally thought like people might be interested in exploring a new culture. No. And just, I felt like I was so, I don't know, so dumb. Because these sports cultures just are so deeply rooted in American culture. And I didn't know that. I feel like I knew nothing about American culture at that time. And also, I didn't know how to pack, like how to carry a really huge backpack with berry cans, with water bottles, with tents, like the I don't know what I call it, the carbon, like the bottle to set up the fire or something like that. I just didn't know how to carry this huge heavy backpack at first, and I didn't have any experience of like staying in 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 the forest for like 3 or 4 consecutive days. And also we even didn't have clean water. We need to put like a special chemical into the water and wait for like 30 minutes to drink. These are so new to me. And also I even didn't know how to use tampons, because tampons are not popular in China for girls. And when I saw like these people, okay, they all use tampons, and like period is not like a great deal for not doing sports. It's not a reason of not doing sports, but I didn't know that. So it was like a great struggle. I don't know, like for me, but I feel like nobody will understand me in the group, because they're so accustomed to it. Just a huge culture shock for me coming from China to the States. But somehow I don't know, it was really tough to think about this experience. I sprained my ankle at first, but I remember like my orientation leader, one of the orientation leaders just helped me wrap up my ankle, and like keep asking me if I am doing okay. And he also said like it was so courageous for me to study all alone in a new country and just sign up for this orientation. It's a great deal. It's rewarding. You need to reward yourself of like all of these things you have experienced. And at the time I was like, yeah, maybe it's true. I should award myself, but I don't think people would ever understand it. So yeah, like when a guy would talk about his experience working in Trader Joe's during summer, I even didn't know what Trader Joe is. I thought it was like Joe, like an uncle or something, but it wasn't. It was just like a grocery store, and it was just so embarrassing. And we just hiked. We just walked and walking, like passing streams, like walking with light rains, heavy rains, canoeing with heavy rains, blah blah blah, with a sprained ankle of me. And I really thought about quitting, but like my teammates are supportive. They even though they didn't understand like a lot of things about me, like a lot of things about China, but they were supportive. They kind of understand like my feeling. So that's when I realized like feelings are experienced by people from different cultural backgrounds, but information is not as valuable as I imagined. And that was like all about orientation. I barely spoke anything except for like necessities aspects where when I need to say something, say something. But other than that, like for chatting, for daily conversations, just I was so silent. At the time, it was so embarrassing. And after that, when I first started college, I thought, okay, I did excel in academics when I was in high school, so I signed up for like a 200 level physics class and a 200 level psychology class at the same time. And I burned out. I completely burnt out because I didn't make friends. I didn't go to any parties. I didn't participate in any clubs for the first semester because I wasn't accustomed to it. Like in my high school, there weren't clubs that I can choose. There weren't activities that are not relevant to study. Like, it was just not a thing. But coming to Hamilton, yeah, like people just started participating in different things like outside of academics, and I was so shocked, and I didn't prepare for it. And the people I knew at that time was basically international students, and they kind of struggled the same thing. I feel like people around me had no solutions about how to adapt to this environment, just feel so helpless. And I remember I went to the counseling service in our college, and I just started crying. It was just so hard. And I had 4 or 5 times counseling services. But it didn't really work out because I feel like my counselor really didn't understand how international students feel coming from I don't know, coming from China. It's just coming from China to America. It's just like difficult without family support, without relatives, without like a telephone number or credit card at first, without SSN, without literally just anything that you can imagine, like basic things for American citizen. And I went to Chase Bank 3 times without a car, and Uber every time. It was so expensive. And until the 3rd time, I finally had my debit card because I didn't have an SSN. And at first, I was only able to use the Wi-Fi in our school because I didn't have like a telephone number. And like what my parents was smart. They asked like a agency, like a shipping service company, to ship 3 packages of stuffs, like my personal stuffs, to Hamilton College, but it was delayed. And it didn't arrive until the 2nd semester, so I basically didn't have anything for winter. And in upstate New York, the winter was like 5 or 6 months. So I remember figuring out, okay, just buy a lot of winter stuff of my own. And it was very shocking when I bought clothes that are made in China, in America, because it was much more expensive, and there are fewer types that I can choose compared to China. And I kind of experienced like a economic status change. I previously was like a middle class kid, but in America, I felt I was so poor. I was just like I was just like a broken college kid, and then I experienced like identity crisis. I noticed there are Asians, like Asian Americans on campus, and then they only speak English to me. Um, I tried to, I don't know, just like how can I communicate with them with the same appearance but different cultures? I was just not accustomed to it, and I didn't know what to do. Uh, and another identity crisis was I feel like everything I cherished in the past, like all the beautiful poems that I remembered in Chinese history in Chinese class, are worthless. For example, like Robert Frost is an important point in America, right? But when you say Robert Frost in maybe China, in my city, not everybody knows it, or most people didn't know it. So, like, what's the point of learning so hard on Chinese history and Chinese culture and the food? Just like hot pot, 烤羊腿, like barbecue. Like a lot of these things just didn't, I don't know, just disappear in my life, and I felt so devastated, like eating salad and hamburger and I don't know, like fei jiao beans every day. And also, like people here are more, I don't know, more welcoming when talking. They touch each other and they greet each other like, hi, how are you? But I didn't know how to reply, how are you? Based on the textbook that I learned, like the standard answer is, I'm good, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, and you? But nobody really replied as what is taught on textbook in China. And just so hard. And when you come to a English dominated campus, people will assume that you speak perfect English because a lot of Asians live in America. Native language, like their native language is probably English. And because of the inclusivity and diversity in America, they think, okay, you're Asian, you studied in Hamilton College, then you speak perfect English. But that's not true. For example, in China, if you have a foreign face, if you're not like a yellow color, people will not assume you that you know Chinese. But in America, yeah, they assume you can speak perfect English. This is either a good thing or a bad thing because my English improves so damn fast. No matter writing essays, talking to different departments, working for international student services in summer, and finally joining in 2 clubs in my spring semester, like the second semester of college, just helped me improve English so damn much. But as I improved English little by little, I realized that I have two selves. The previous self was a really, really diligent student, studying very hard, um, very, not very altruistic, really utilitarian. Didn't think too much about America, I guess. The previous one was crazy about traveling different cities in China. The previous one was rebellious about high school education. And the previous ones even didn't allow herself to step into a relationship because the high school banned relationships. Like even like when you cuddle in a public or kiss in a classroom and get caught, you will receive like a alert. And when these things like happen more than one time, like maybe after 3 times, you might be kicked out of high school because you had a relationship. And in America, no. It just is so common for people to just start dating and make out, and I don't know. But like people will not judge you because of that. But like the previous self was severely suppressed. The previous self was like so silent during COVID. And I remember I just became so silent in my classroom when I was in high school because like people focus too much on their phones, on WeChat, on social media. But after coming to America, I feel like not a lot of people like are addicted to social media a lot compared to most of my classmates in China. And talking about the new self, I would love to embrace the new identity, and I would love to embrace this new culture, but my English ability is not enough. I can't use academic English very easily, like I don't know, biology terms, psychology terms, these academic like very professional words. But I didn't know how to say pedal, like brakes, like some basic things. You might not even understand it. I didn't know how to set this. I didn't know how to say this. And now I know it's just sharper, like pencil sharper. But like, what is this? I didn't know it. And when I tried to buy it, and when I tried to communicate with the staff in the shop, I don't know, like it just stuck in my head and difficult. It's just so difficult. And I went to the bilingual support center, and there were a really friendly, nice lady who helped me out. She taught me some sports culture in the state, and she even like summarized what we talked about like in meetings, and then sent email to me about everything, like the links, websites, typical brands in the state. And at that time I realized I shouldn't focus on academics so too much, because I was in a new environment. I was supposed to learn something that are more basic, that are more fundamental, that are more deeply rooted in the society. I learned what is Walmart. I learned what is Trader Joe's, Target. I learned like what is individualistic, like how people treat mental issues here, how people value family, like their siblings. I grew up without any siblings because of the one-child policy, and also because it was just not common to have a lot of siblings in China. And I didn't feel I was unique. But coming to the States, when my peers said, okay, I have two brothers, two sisters, and they were studying blah blah blah, they were working, and I was like, what? Like, why do siblings become a even a common topic? They're so innocent. And I remember like coming to the States after 3 or 4 months that I started realizing like the CCP, like how Western media criticized Chinese government and how Chinese government did to the people who want to rebel it. It was just so eye-opening, especially on YouTube, because in China, like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even WhatsApp were all banned, and it was substituted by domestic media like Weibo, Bilibili, WeChat, Weixin, Douyin, TikTok. But most people don't know is that there are two versions of WeChat and TikTok. The Chinese version of TikTok is called Douyin, but Douyin is not equals to Western TikTok. The Chinese version of WeChat is called WeChat, but we use Weixin outside of China. And these two different versions are not connected. Like what you see in Douyin cannot be searched on TikTok. And we have seen on TikTok is not synchronously transferred to the domestic app. It's just like a invisible barrier between the two. And I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. Because both WeChat and Douyin, TikTok are based in Asia. For example, Douyin, like TikTok, was now in Singapore. It has like a sub company in China, in Shenzhen. Another sub maybe in the United States. So, like, what's the point, you may ask? And I didn't know how to answer it. It's just like a Chinese app. It's a Chinese app. Like Weixin is exactly a Chinese app. But it has two versions. Like, is that weird? No, it's easy to understand in a lot of sense, but it's not easy to understand in America. So, also, I don't know where I belong. Like, I belong to Chinese in American scenario, where I belong to Chinese, like growing up in China, or like what kind of values should I trust? What kind of people I should hang out with? What kind of lifestyle should I choose? Just keep studying all the time in college, like select the most difficult courses, or try something new, try some sports, join some sports clubs, rush for a sorority. I don't know. And nobody told me what to do. And I finally just figured out myself. I didn't study all the time when I was in the second semester. I only enrolled in 3 classes, and one of them is Chinese literature, so it was kind of like easier for me to understand. And I had I have some spare time to like join a Nordic skiing club, the cycling club, and try to hang out with domestic people. And then I realized how different it's for me, like growing up in China, in East Asia, and growing up in America. And the final thing I want to talk about, because it's 40 minutes already, is the diversity. So the word in that diversity is really common in the States, no matter in in work or at school, no matter in different kind of situations. Martin Luther King, or what is that called? Like the Statement of Independence, just like stated that all men are treated equal, and people should not judge others based on skin colors, based on their sex, based on the tokens that they can't control. Yeah, this is totally correct. But when people talk about diversity, it just means like people don't want to understand another culture. And I know, okay, like, why don't the white people understand Asian culture? Asian people understand white culture. Asian people understand Hispanic culture. And black people understand white culture, and just, I don't know, just understand cultures, read more books, watch more movies, travel to other countries, take a foreign language class. These things are important. Like, be inclusive doesn't mean that you need to find a common topic. For example, if you don't know what is like kung fu, you can ask me about it and I will tell you. But that doesn't mean that we can't talk about it, right? And it leads to segregation. It leads to segregation in college, and it just, I feel like it aggravated the issue that exists because gentrification, because of housing problems, because of the huge economic gaps between people in America. Right? Like, diversity is not only about respect. It's also about understanding. It's also about like an open mind. It's also about like curiosity, but like when the word diversity becomes so sensitive, just people start to avoid the culture, avoid talking to people from different cultural background, avoid everything, and just form their own groups. But I don't like that. I really hate the idea of not diversity itself, but like, why don't people just read more books and understand other people's experiences? And I am now encountering a situation where I think I understand enough about my people around me, but I know I can be fully American at this point, entering a new academic year in college. I think my ability in communicating with like domestic students has improved giantly. I can blend in, but I still have an option of cherishing my own culture, cherishing my own language, using my language to other Chinese people or people who can speak Mandarin, like Malaysian, like Singaporean, like American born Chinese, different people. But I can also choose not to. I can choose to just speak English every day. And maybe just forget about Chinese. Because all the classes are in English and nobody will care. Nobody will care how much you accumulated in your own culture. So this is a kind of weird feeling because I feel that there are two ways, there are two paths that I can choose. And it's not only in college, it's more in the future. What I'm referring to is I can have a chance to stay in the States, and I can have a chance to not mention I'm from China, because I believe my English will constantly improve, and by adapting to this culture, I can fully make friends based on what I've experienced in this year. Like, I've been to multiple places in America. I've been to all of those New England states. I've been to Florida, I've been to Georgia, I've been to Tennessee, I've been to North Carolina. I was involved in like sport clubs, I was involved in culture clubs, I was involved in like a volunteer program, I was involved in Habitats for Humanity, like a lot of things that I can talk about. But like all of my past experiences, are they important for me to cherish? Should I abolish it? Or like, should I abolish the value of it? Or should I keep the value and share it with others? Like, if I overshare it, or people think I'm too arrogant, I don't know, like, as a student studying in the state, why will you want people to understand more about you instead of you understand more about America? So this kind of bilateral, and I also do feel the bilateral communication is not enough. In China, I think more people know about America than in America more people actually know about China. And it was just like a struggle. Like, in China there are 5,000 years histories, and it's more than 5,000 years. There's just different dynasties, different stories, and like 红楼梦, 三国演义, these wonderful, these really deep books, like these like wisdom, all of these like knowledge that are informed by the history, that are allotted, that are passed, that are inherited by Chinese people. Are they important or not? It's just so fortunate in some sense that our country has not been colonized by any ultra powers. So we were able to preserve our culture like an entity. That's why a lot of religions can't actually dominate East Asian culture. But I know that, like the Christians, the Muslims, a lot of religions are currently having power in different countries. but Buddhism in China doesn't. Because I've never encountered like even a little bit of identity crisis when I was in China. And during my application season, when there is like a diversity statement, I was struggling about what to write, how to write, and how to write a good essay that can be understood for mission officers. But now, after experience a very long time identity crisis, 9 months, 10 month identity crisis, I still didn't figure it out. And I know like some Asian Americans are experiencing this. A lot of immigrants are experiencing this, and because we speak different languages, and maybe they don't have enough languages like for English languages for expressing these opinions. But I was fortunate that I could, so so these are the 4 points that I want to discuss. But what I want to say to the people who are watching this video is that keep informed about other cultures. Keep an open mind, like watch more, travel more, and even understand more. Like international students here in America are more open-minded than you think. And understanding a culture instead of America is not a bad thing, right? If, for example, if you visit China one day, I can show you around, and I believe a lot of international students have the same intention. But at first, like the primary thing is to jump out of the comfort zone and meet more people. And I know the curiosities from humans are the things that make humans alive. So just don't suppress it. Just allow yourself to read more, to understand more, to talk more. And yeah, I know that my next year in America will be more easier than the first year in America. But I also really want to let the first year students, like especially international students, know that you're not alone. You're really not alone. The struggles you faced are so damn real, and the invisibility of like these struggles is also real. You can try to talk these struggles more, because if you don't talk about it, nobody will realize this. It's not like when I was small, I was so deeply informed to 察言观色, which means like deduct what other people are experiencing based on their fixed appearances, based on their actions, and be so considerate in a lot of sense. like to experience what other people need, to feel what other people need, and provide the need to them. But here it's not like that. This is more individualistic. If you don't say about it, then you just stay invisible. Especially when the culture is different, when your background is so different. Yeah. And if you are intending to come to the States, maybe in the fall semester, I wish that you can be proud of everything you have done and eat more like food that you like in your country, and maybe stay with your family and stay with your friends and just do everything you want. I don't know. So let's see where it goes, like how it goes for the next 3 years in America.